y'all, welcome to another video. So today I thought I would share some of my favorite indie brands and the products that they make. Some of these are going to be easier to get a hold of. Some of them if you want to purchase from them, you have to go through the website. There's also a handful of indie brands that I've never tried that I think I'm going to make that a goal for the next year, is to get my hands on one or two pieces from each of these brands and really see how I feel about them. But I have a bin, and a rather ginormous pack full of stuff I want to talk about. The first brand I want to talk about, I've already filmed a video on, and I will link that below, and if I remember, I'll link it in the cards. But that is Make Beauty. Make Beauty produces some of the most elegant, easy to use formulas. Their powder products, their cheek products they're smooth, they're sheer, buildable. The colors are so nice. The formulation of their serum balm, an award for like best new lipstick in the indie community. We love that for them. That's great. They also have a ton of skincare. The only skincare I've tried is the serum balm. This stuff is absolutely lovely. And now that we're getting into the warmer time of the year where my skin tends to be less dry, it's time for this to come in, and I'm excited. So yeah, go check out that video on Make Beauty. Send them some love. They're an innovative brand that makes really, really good products. The brand that was the inspiration for this video is JD Glow, which sadly announced that they are closing due to some law in California. There's an ingredient that needs to be labeled on every product, and they didn't do that. So now lawyers that target these small indie brands and basically build lawsuits against them that they cannot afford to fight, so they have to close. It's predatory. These predatory lawsuits that have the intention of closing down these small brands. So what I would really like, JD Glow is hopefully going to be able to come back as a different company. And what I would really love is for as many people as possible to buy some stuff from them as they're going out of business, so that they have enough startup capital to start their new business. I placed an order last week and it arrived yesterday, and I have been loving getting to play with some new stuff. So the eyeliner I'm wearing today, this beautiful multi-chromatic shifting. This is one of their multi-chrome eyeliners in Glamnetic. I also own Shooketh. And then I have two of their matte liners. The green one is called I Live or I Live. And the purple is called Neon Purple. I haven't used this yet, but I know the quality of these liners and it's going to be great. I have already gone through an entire tube. This is my second tube of Shooketh. This is not something I ever want to be without, and I want them to come back and start making these again. Something that I had not tried until I placed this order were their lip glosses, because they're always showing videos on YouTube, on Instagram, and in their YouTube shorts of these super glittery, glossy lips. And I'm not about a multi-chrome lip. I want a lip that's going to hydrate and that's going to be comfortable. I don't need anything super flashy. I bought this in the shade Quartz. This is clear and it smells like almond sugar cookies. Yeah, it smells like sugar cookies that have a lot of almond extract. The formula is lovely. The fragrance lingers, but it's not cloying or sweet. It's not enough to give me a migraine. And being someone who is sensitive enough to fragrance that I get migraines, that says a fair amount. This is great. Go buy up the last of their lip product. Also, I don't know what they have left as far as shadows go. This is Unexpected, which is one of my absolute favorite eyeshadows. I have two pans of it that I, for some reason, decided to buy last year. They were on sale. I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna buy two pans of it. I'm glad I did. I'm glad I did. This shade is Sin. You've got, this is a newer, this is Essence, I think. And this is one of their highlighters. I'm gonna use it as an eyeshadow. Moscato, you can't even tell, but I have used this a fair amount. This is one I have not gotten really to experience that much. I don't know. I kind of skim over it and forget that I have it. This is Macaron. It is NARS Orgasm in an eyeshadow that is both pink and sparkly, and oh my goodness. Now I want to put this all over my eyes. That's just what I want to do now. Their shadows are so beautiful. They're different. They're unique. The thing I love about indie beauty is that they don't have investors that they have to answer to. They don't have somebody saying, well, you can only bring out 10 eyeshadows and they need to be all in skin-friendly tones and they need to be matte to satin. No, they get in there and they play with shimmer. They play with multi-chrome. They really get in the color weeds, and I love it. I love it. I am so sad this brand is closing, and I want to give them as much support going forward as humanly possible. That is JD Glow. They are a small, less than 10 employee, women, people of color owned brand in the South. JD Glow is currently going out of business, but that doesn't mean they have to stay out of business. Let's rally around this wonderful indie brand, give them as much and lift them up as much as possible. A brand that I realized I'd forgotten to talk about is Book of Shadows.
Editing Rachel here. I think Book of Shadows is just the name of their magnetic palette. The store is actually called AnotherSoul. I will leave them linked down in the description.
This is again, a small indie brand. They're on Etsy and they make some of the most beautiful magnetic palettes I have ever owned and used. So this has this beautiful damask wallpaper print. It's two-sided. The only gripe I have with these is that this plastic sheet comes separate. And if you have object impermanence like I do, this thing is just going to vanish. So I took some black electrical tape and I taped it into the spine of the book, and now it's there permanently. It took a little bit of shaving on the edges, but other than that, it's great. This is the first one I bought and is the home of all of my Clionadh shadows, which is a brand that we're going to talk about going forward. Book of Shadows, I will link their stuff. This is just the most beautiful little palette. This is just, it's thin, it's lightweight, but it feels nice to use. And isn't she gorgeous? I love it. I love it. And I love what they do. You can tell that each of these palettes are handmade, and they're handmade with a great deal of care. Where are we going? Let's go to some of the larger, more accessible brands. Let's start with Rituelle De Fille. I have actually a pretty decent selection. I have a couple of their cheek products. I have their latest concealer that was released as a lab release. If you want to hear my thoughts on that, I made a video about it, so I'll link that as well. These are their Inner Glow Cream Pigments. This is the shade Lust. I have talked about this a fair amount on my channel already. This is the OG Raisin makeup product. It is mucky, it is beige, it is purple, and it blends out really nicely. It's smoothing. I wouldn't necessarily say it's blurring, but it does blend out really nicely. And that initial color in the pan is scary. It's dark, but once you put it on and you blend it out, it really does show its true colors. Phosphine. This is one of their Rare Light Cream Luminizers. I have not used this in a while. This is probably going to be more of a summer highlight for me. Oh my goodness, is she pretty. You can build it up to the point where like it's visible, but you're not going to get anything blinding that you can see from outer space. That's not the kind of highlight that I go for. I'm 41, I have textured skin. I like something that looks natural. Their cream face products they're beautiful. They really are. Last I checked, Rituelle De Fille was available in Ulta.
Rituelle De Fille is available at Ulta in a very limited selection. The entire brand is available on Credo's website and also on the brand site.
I don't know if they still are, but if they are, that makes them really easily accessible. This is one of their lipsticks. I don't know the name of this. It's a satin matte. This is the shade Oracle. I wore this to my brother's wedding, and it is like my perfect nude lip. As a matte lip, it does dry down a little bit. It's a little drier than I would like, but that also gives it a fair amount of longevity. Eyeliner. So this is the Enigmatic Black Orb. Very fancy name for a pot of eyeliner. I love the color of this. I do find it a little difficult to work with. I realize that using it with a natural fiber brush is the absolute best way to go. So I go in with, and that is the best way for me to use this. But I think it's beautiful. I wish it was a little easier to use. I guess it's better than it being like super hard and thick and impossible to use. The next brand I want to talk about is Hindash. Hindash, last I checked, is available on Beautylish. I purchased the this palette, which is the Monochromance. First of all, fabulous name. I love it. It is one of the few portmanteaus that doesn't make my eye twitch. These are fabulous powders. Oh my goodness. I sat here the other day and built an entire eye look out of just these two pans, and it was so easy. It's so easy. This strawberry red, when everyone was doing strawberry girl makeup last summer, this is what I was going in for. I didn't have to go out and buy a red blush because I had one. I really love this palette. I love the matte color fluids. I have all of them except for the bright orange, which is fine. Bright orange has never really been my color. I did notice that Boy Tears had dried out a little bit the last time I went to use it. I put a few drops of Inglot Duraline in there. I've let it sit, and it's a lot smoother and a lot less chunky. If you have these and they start drying out, know that you can rescue them. They're not a foregone conclusion. You can easily resuscitate these with some Inglot Duraline. The last Hindash product is going to be his lip liners. I have both a love and a hate relationship with it. Is so long. This is longer than my other. If I wasn't in a rush to finish this video, I would pull out one of my other ones and show you. The color and the formula, though, are what really make this a standout. I believe this is the shade Hush. This is the shade Hush. It is a gorgeous bricky red, almost leaning terracotta. Formula on these is creamy but stick-to-itive. So you place it and you blend it and it stays put. These are not going to just melt away, which is something that I really appreciate in a lip liner. I'm not picky when it comes to a lip liner. I just want it to work. Don't want to have to make it work for me. Merit. I recently purchased a little collection, a little capsule collection of stuff from Merit, and easily my favorite product in that collection was their lip oil. This has the slightest pinkish tint to it. This is their Gelée formula in the shade Jeté. And this does for the lips what that Rosy Glow blush does for the cheeks. It just highlights your natural color and brings out like the best tones. It's also really thin, it's hydrating, goes on. I wouldn't say it's terribly long lasting. That's not usually what you would put something like this on for. If you're looking for long lasting, you're gonna go for a lipstick, you're gonna go for something with more tenacity. If you're just looking for a wash of color and some really beautiful hydrating qualities, the Merit lip oils are beautiful. I have a basket of stuff from Finding Ferdinand, so let's talk about it. Finding Ferdinand is a brand that I heard about a long time ago. I ordered a custom lipstick in the most god-awful, probably the worst fragrance. It was Asian pear. And when you first opened it, it smelled really good, but it was so rich that I would open the drawer where I stored it and I could smell it coming out before I even took it out of the package. If there is a custom shade that you really love, you can get them to make you a piece of makeup in that color. As long as you have a hexadecimal code, which are like color codes that correspond with certain colors on the color wheel, or in Pantone's collection. I have sitting in front of me 5 blushes. These are all from Khaki Reviews Beauty's Summer Abroad and Après Ski collections. I have the 2 lip glosses. Haute Chocolate is a beautiful, easy to wear, easy to apply brown. This is what I really wanted when I got the Hot Chocolate Glossier Balm.com, but that was so pigmented, and in the dispenser, it was so hard to make sure you got a clean application. It was really richly pigmented, and if you just smeared it all over, you'd look like a kid who just slammed in a candy bar, which, you know, it's not a bad look, but it's not what I'm going for. This goes on really easily. I almost don't need a mirror. I can just follow the shape of my lips. And the formula, I cannot speak highly enough of this formula. For me, the sleeper hit of the Après Ski collection was Café Niçoisette. The smell, the fragrance. Oh my goodness. I love this fragrance. Sometimes when I need like just a little wake me up, a little pick me up, I'll open this, I'll put a little bit on, and I'll get that lovely, rich hazelnut coffee. I hope they bring this back, if in no other formulation than a custom. So they release the hexadecimal code for the shade, and they give you an option to add this fragrance. And then we have the blushes. I mean, what can I say about these blushes that has not been said? Latte has become my favorite nude, beige, almost skin-like, but really blends in and kind of carries other blushes. So I have started laying this down before I lay down other blushes as a base to form my shape and shape out my cheeks. It's so pretty. It's so easy to put on. You can put it on with a brush. You can use your fingers. You can use a sponge. Olay is my favorite one and done. I can tap this on and know that it's going to be the perfect beige for my skin tone. It's not too light. It's not too deep. Macchiato. I love Macchiato. I have loved terracotta and brown blushes for a long time. And Macchiato is just, I have another purchase that I recently made, and this is a cream dupe for that blush. We'll talk about that later. I have a video coming up on that. And then the summer collection, or the Après Ski collection. So you've got High Noon and Sunrise. High Noon is a little harder for me to wear because it is so pink. I just have a hard time getting it to work on my skin tone, but that's me. And that's the way that I layer color. I need to start thinking outside the box when using cooler tones. Sunrise, come on. How just absolutely breathtaking is that shade? These are glorious. I am so glad that I found this brand and that I have this really rich bevy of products to enjoy from them. Okay, we're going to briefly touch on some eyeshadow singles. I already mentioned JD Glow, and they're absolutely beautiful singles, but they're not the only brand that I love that makes single eyeshadows. Nabla, I don't even know where they're based, where they're from. I suppose I should do some research. But this shade Snowberry is so wackadoodle. It looks like just this mellow mauve, but it has a lot of depth and richness on the eyes. It's a little sneaker. Artemisia is a matte that I just dropped on the floor. So yeah, it is that, again, dusty rosy mauve, but it's got more depth to it. The back of my hand still has that cream highlight, so these aren't blending out very well. Don't take that as the product. It's me. It's user error. Demonstrator error. Juno Moon is a lovely purple violet. Oh, I don't use this shadow much, and I really should. It's gorgeous. That's what doing these videos does, is it really allows me to help reconnect with the makeup that I've had for a long time and that I really love. Nabla also makes some of the most beautiful cheek products. So I have one of their skin bronzing powders. This is the shade Dune. I forget I have this as a bronzer. I don't know why. I just forget about it. This formula is almost a cream to powder. It's got some flexibility to it. It's got some bounce. So you can kind of press it down into the pan, get a really good rich swap. This is a beautiful bronzer for me midsummer. If I've got some color, this just brings all of that out. This is one of their skin glazing highlighters in the shade Privilege. I love this highlighter. I was only allowed to own one highlighter. This would be it. It is peachy champagne beautifulness. It's a little dark for me as a highlighter, but I usually put my highlighter under my blush. And then this rosy peachy Independence. This brings out the green in my eyes like almost nothing else. It's so pretty. And these are not expensive. I want to say they're like $18 to $20 each. I could be wrong. If I'm not, I'll put it somewhere on the screen. But they are just the nicest powders to use. You can use them with a sponge. You can use them with a brush. I wouldn't suggest using them with your fingers. I would suggest having a tool to help blend them out, but they are just the nicest. Sydney Grace. I have one Sydney Grace eyeshadow. It's very sad and lonely. No, I have others in my stash. I just didn't pull them all out. So this is called Start Somewhere, and it is a lilac gray. So it's a cooler toned purple. It's got some silver in there. This formula is really pretty. Like you can feel the crush. You can feel the eyeshadow have a little give when you put your finger in the pan. And that's what helps it blend so smoothly. It's got a lot of really crushy ingredients. I don't know what goes into eyeshadows, but I know a good formula when I use one. Speaking of good formulas, Luxie. Luxie is a brand that I don't hear talked about very much here on the YouTubes. This is Nirvana, which smells like Teen Spirit. Very, very apropos. It's that grungy red, green, brown, blue. I have a major affinity for this color, and you're going to see later as we get deeper into my collection, I have a lot of stuff that's like it. This is Misfit. So Misfit is kind of the blue purple if this is a red green. They're a really nice formula. You do need something like a primer, a glitter glue, because they're really thin. You want them to have something to stick to really be impactful, or you can just sweep them on as a wash. Copacetic. Copacetic has one of the funkier formulas, and I freaking love it. I love it. This was the first eyeshadow that came into my purview that I really was like, that's special. So this is As the World Falls Down. It is one of their flaky formulas. And you can see just that. Look at the shine, the dimension. They're supposed to be a little chunky, a little multi-refractional. I don't know if that's a word, but now it is. But you can see that as the light hits the bigger chunks, it really does make the shadow sparkle. They're just so unique. I've got it in a blue. I've got it in this peachy orange, this really, really interesting pink. And some of them are going to be a little smoother than others, even if they're in the same formula. I really like that. That's the beauty of indie makeup, is they can change up their formulas and they don't really have to answer to anybody. The pièce de résistance of indie eyeshadows. Let's talk about Clionadh. I have been a staunch lover of Clionadh for a long time. I finally got to meet the owners of the brand again at the Indie Polish and Beauty Expo. These are just some of the prettiest, richest art supply like shadows. They're pricey. I only buy a couple at a time, I have some favorites. They're in front of me. One of my absolute favorites is Bloodline. It's a purple base with this gold to green. When you put it on all on its own, it's neutral, but it's got some depth. It's so wonky. It's so weird. It messes with my brain and I love it. Grisaille is different from abrasion. But again, can we talk about the dimension? Can we talk about the color shifting and the big chunks? Oh, it's glorious. And then last but not least, Trinket. Trinket is like it's a warm peach, blue, and pink sparkle. So it shifts. Again, it's got that really interesting nude base. It's got look at the dimension. Oh my goodness. My brain goes a little bit jelly-like looking at these and playing with them because they just make the little goblin in my brain so happy. So Clionadh, these are the stained glass collection. They do also make regular, what they call their circle or their round eyeshadows. So these were part of a holiday collection. This is Tree Skirt, and talk about a rich pink. I have so many pink eyeshadows and I'm not wearing them right now, but that doesn't mean I want to get rid of them. It means that eventually I will come back around to them. Timber Raisin. I think this was one of the, if you saw my searching for raisin video, this is one of the shadows that is really raisin. It is resonant with raisin. And then Tree Skirt. Tree Skirt is different from anything else I have in my collection, which is why I've hung on to it. It is just one of the brightest, most reflective shadows that I own. It's almost mirror-like. It's so shiny. All right. We are moving and grooving. I think we've only got a couple more things to talk about. While on the subject of rewinding to Copacetic, I also forgot to mention that they make really pretty highlighters. So this is not just a highlighter. This is a pan of glowy. I use this as an eyeshadow. I use it as a highlighter. I have put this on my inner corner. Like, you can use this in a lot of places. This is the shade Henna, and it is just like my perfect skin native shimmer. And it looks like a cat's paw. It looks like a cat's paw. It's so cute. So cute. And you've heard me talk about kitsch and how I don't really buy into the idea of buying something because it's cute, but I love the product inside. The packaging is adorable. It was reasonably affordable too. And it's from an indie brand. So how can I complain about that? I think this is our last one. Did I go through everything? All right, last brand we're talking about is Phytosurgeons. I have 3 of their bronzers, 2 of their cream blushes, and 2 of their eyeshadows. So let's talk formula, because these are different. These are really different formulas. I don't know how they do it over there, but they do. So this is shade 4 in their Spectral Sunlight Cream Bronzers. So they have the odd numbers are warm and the even numbers are cool. So they have a warm and a cool 1 and 2, warm and a cool 2 and 3, or 3 and 4. I don't know how to math today. So this formula is, you can compress it. It's a cream. But what I have found is I have to get in there and break that seal and really warm it up with my finger in order to get like a swatchable, dense application. So there is Rosy Warmth. It's a little too cool for me to use as a bronzer, but I've been playing with this as a contour and it's really pretty. It's different and I love that. Shade 1, which is Golden Daybreak, I use this on just a fluffy concealer brush and I use it to change the temperature of the light under my eyes. Often it can look too blue toned or too pink, and this just tones everything down, but it doesn't look dark. It doesn't look like I've smeared bronzer under my eyes. The blushes. These are some of the most pigmented cream blushes you will ever come across. You really need to be careful. I've heard these compared to a melted like a chocolate ganache that's partially set. And honestly, that is the best way to describe these. You pick up the smallest amount and then you get so much product. So I usually just take one finger and I use that to apply both cheeks. This is the shade Fume. Look at how that just shears out. Gorgeous. Sublimate. This is my warm toned version. Yes. So there you can see it's a little redder. It's got more, I want to say more, this has more gray in it. It's a lighter shade. It's got more gray. It's got like a lavender undertone. Whereas this is almost like a Fjords rich cold girl shade. Really, really pretty. And then the last thing I have to talk about makeup wise are so these are the Flash Fluorescence eyeshadows. I have Defiant Dahlia and Astral Atmosphere. And much like the bronzers, these have that waxy consistency that you almost need to dig into and warm up before you shear it out. They make some of the coolest products with the weirdest formulations, and they don't have to answer to anybody except their customer base. No, last brand we're going to talk about, Salt New York. I love Salt New York. I love what Kiki G has done with this brand. She has taken an idea and just absolutely flown with it. This is a palette that I put together as an experiment, but she makes these really rich, beautiful balm blushes that melt into the skin, deliver a beautiful amount of pigment, but don't overtake the face and are not hard to work with. They're not terribly long lasting, but they're a balm. So that's kind of written into the name. Their highlighter formula, this is Rust. This is what I used as a like terracotta blush before they came out with terracotta. And now terracotta unfortunately has been discontinued. The tones are so nice. They're so individualized. This is Sunburnt. We're going to put that right in the middle. They all stand out for their own reasons. And she has done this across the board. She just came out with a concealer I am curious about, but I own 7 concealers right now, so I need to finish some before I buy another one. She also, these magnetic palettes, the brand is 100% waste-free, meaning that you buy the pan, it comes in this beautiful paper package with a cardboard insert to keep everything flat and clean with her absolutely gorgeous Salt New York logo. I love the logo that she has for this brand. And she also does really good sale. She'll do like buy 3, get 2 free. And that's when I stock up on the stuff that I know I'm going to be going through, like her contour, the Sneaky Balm, which is her coverage product. Really beautiful cream products that are easy to use, melt into the skin, and don't need to be fussy. That's what's absolutely thrilling about these. I am going to continue to explore more indie makeup as the year goes on. There's a handful of brands I want to try. Never tried Auden's Eye, Lethal, Divina. There's a brand from the UK called Pastel Rose that just makes eyeshadows that make my brain buzz. So the reason I decided to do this video now is that we have the Sephora sale coming up, or the spring savings event, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, buy the stuff you need from Sephora, but also think about giving business to small indie brands because they really need your money. They benefit so much more from your money than Sephora ever will. Sephora is going to keep making their bank, but give money to small brands. I hope you all really enjoyed this video. I hope you'll go show some love to some indie brands because they need it now more than ever. Give some love to an indie brand. I hope you are all taking care of yourself so you can take care of each other, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye, friends.